So, emission tests, they are gone in Ontario. No more emission tests for our non-commercial vehicles, and that's good for guys like me. Let me explain. Yeah. I need an exit. Okay, so you guys have seen my Silverado build and my explanation to the amount of fuel that my 6-liter was drinking. Every 100,000 kilometers, $28,000 worth of fuel. It's got 400,000 kilometers on it now, so that would be about $115,000 worth of fuel that I've put through it. Couldn't take that, swapped it out for a 5.9 Cummins diesel. What that did was cut my fuel almost in half, and diesel is generally about 10% cheaper than gas in Ontario, or predominantly. It's been fluctuating the last couple of years, which is odd, but I've been able to save roughly $6,000 a year on my fuel bill. Now that I ran into an issue because we had emission testings in Ontario, and unless your vehicle passed the emission test, you could not renew your sticker. I'm not gonna tell anybody to go break the law or do anything, but honestly, I've only ever e-tested my truck one time, and now that we don't have any more emission tests, I'll tell you how I got around it. But first, I want to tell you why I'm okay with doing so. Now, the one reason is behind me. It's a biodiesel processor. We'll get into that in just a little bit. First, I want to talk about why I'm okay running a diesel compared to a gas. It does put out oxides of nitrogen, NOx, which is not good. There are cancer-inducing emissions that come from a diesel. But there was a big screw up kind of in the mid-2000s there, where the way to reduce emissions reduced the reliability of diesels. The older diesels were extremely reliable, and if tuned properly, they don't smoke. It comes down to basically half the amount of fuel used. Now, you've heard me say before too, I'm against rolling coal. Rolling coal is juvenile. What it does is put extra fuel into the exhaust that isn't actually burnt. It results in a big cloud of black smoke, and it does not result in more power. It is unburnt fuel. So a properly tuned diesel might have a tiny little puff of black coming out. That means that any more fuel into it is gonna be wasted, but you're right at that threshold where you're gonna get about as much power out of it as possible. So before I started the conversion, I called the Ministry of Transportation and asked what's involved in putting a diesel into my gas truck. How do I pass emissions? She goes, no problem. All you have to do is on your ownership say that it's a diesel instead of a gas now. So, okay, perfect. Went to all the trouble, did my conversion, went to go get my sticker, and it says, no, you need an e-test, but it's no longer a sniff test. It used to be just a test in the tailpipe. No, it has to pass the emissions for the engine that was originally in the vehicle. I had my license as a heavy-duty emission tester, and all that was a sniff test in the pipe. You would step on the throttle, it would rev full throttle, and it would measure how much black smoke came out going from an idle to a full throttle. I was never a fan of the e-test. Really didn't serve much of a purpose. The people that knew what they were doing knew how to pass the emissions, turning the fuel down or up until you get no smoke. You could even put the tester a little bit out of the exhaust so you got a little bit more fresh air, and you could pass if you wanted to. I didn't ever cheat with my tests because we weren't that shop, but I did have customers come into the shop with a heavy truck, and that truck could barely get out of its own way. I had trouble pulling the truck into the emissions testing booth because the customer fiddled with the fuel screw in the parking lot, turned the fuel way down, revving it up. It almost took the full 3 seconds to get it up to high RPM with no load on it. I'm like, this is a joke. As soon as he pulled it back outside again, you could see him fiddling with the screw and then tear off down the road again. So to me, it was a money grab, another way to get another $30 out of people. The diesel tests, the actual diesel emissions tests for a passenger car was a piece of paper that had a circle on it that you held a certain distance away from the exhaust, and somebody was supposed to tromp on the exhaust, and if the soot landed outside the circle, you failed the test. Now, if you can look at me and tell me that that is a legit way to save the environment, that's a joke. One person would just have to hold the paper slightly farther back and you wouldn't get any soot on it. It boggles my mind. I've talked about the Volkswagen thing as well. That's in another video. We'll put that link right here as to the emission scandal that Volkswagen did. All I have to say with that is they've crushed every one of those cars that failed. There are fields full of Volkswagen diesels that got crushed. Now, if you can tell me that that's better than the environment, than a engine that's failing the emissions test, they would have had cleaner emissions than a diesel that's 10 years older. It just failed that specific requirements for that series of diesel engine. Going back to the ministry, I said, okay, well, I've put this engine into my truck now. I can't get it on the road because I can't pass an e-test. So I called the emissions testing bureau or whatever. You go on the Ontario website, got the number, talked to people, hours and hours on the phone. Look, I've put an engine in that uses half the amount of fuel. That's half the cost to refine it, half the cost to ship that fuel to gas stations, half the fuel that I'm using in my vehicle. That is better for the environment than that gas guzzling 6-liter gas that I was running. Don't care, don't care. So, okay, well, I have a biodiesel processor. How about I make my own fuel and I go take it to some testing facility to prove that I have 0 emissions coming out of the tailpipe. This is waste vegetable oil refined to turn into a biodiesel. No, don't care. You can run 0 emission vehicle, but the paperwork is the paperwork, no exceptions. You have to pass your emission test. Well, I'm kind of stuck because I've just put a $5,000 conversion into my truck. I can't get it on the road. There was a few things to get around it. Up north is actually a low populated area, they call it. So if you look on a map, Huntsville was kind of the cutoff. If you went north of that, it was a loosely populated area. They didn't need e-tests. So you could go into a license office and say, I sold my house, I'm moving, I need to change the address on my license and my health card to somewhere north of Huntsville. They would say, okay, no problem. And then you could stand in that office and say, oh, and I need a sticker for my vehicle. Oh, no problem. They put your address in the computer, hit enter, you get your sticker for your computer, you pretend to pick up your phone and say, oh shoot, the deal fell through, my house didn't sell, my boss isn't moving me up north, I need to change my address back to where I am right now. And the ladies would say, oh, okay, and print out another address and you have a sticker for your truck. It's that simple. So I've done that. I've registered the Tahoe up where our cottage is and I got a sticker for that. My truck, actually, my birthday is close to the end of the year. So the way it worked is if you had an odd-yeared vehicle, those needed a emission test on even years. Does that make sense? If you had an even-yeared car, like a 2006, it would need a sticker if you were renewing in an odd year, like 2019. But if you waited until January 1st, you could go in and say, yeah, I want to buy my sticker 11 months early. Then they would give you a sticker as well without the e-test, because that year those vehicles didn't need an e-test. So if you've seen a post of my truck, it actually had a T. I was actually in town and I was running with expired stickers and a cop pulled in behind me. I snuck out of the truck, I did my thing, and he sat there and waited for me. So I went to the license office, grabbed a temporary, put it on my truck and drove away. The problem with that is once you put it in temporary status, you can't do that again. It has to pass the e-test before it can get back on the road again. So I drove with a temporary for a few months until April. So thank you, Ontario, for making it simple for me to get a sticker again off a temporary. I am legal again. I don't get those heart pumping when there's a cop driving the other way. It's all good. Now, that being said, I bought this biodiesel processor to make fuel and do the fuel savings. It's pretty neat how it works. It is a lot of work to actually make biodiesel. There's a few costs involved. You have to buy methanol is a big cost, and you have to get the waste vegetable oil up to 60+ degrees Celsius. I'm a little bit foggy because I bought this thing a number of years back when fuel was $1.40 a liter, and it made sense to make your own biodiesel. I figured I'd put it in a greenhouse. I have a small little greenhouse. The neighbor gave this to me. I did all the brickwork, put it on some I-beams so I could move it around if I wanted to. I ran water lines to here. I ran underground electricity for here, but that's as far as I got because fuel dropped back down to about $1 a liter, even went underneath that. So it did not make sense to make the fuel anymore. So this would cost about 40 cents a liter to make roughly. and then the time invested to do it. I don't have time, and with the fuel coming back down again, I was okay buying it at the pumps. Now another thing, if you do make biodiesel, technically you need to pay a tax on the biodiesel that you make, and that's because you are using public roads that get repaired, that get snow plowed, and it's the tax on the fuel that pays for those services. When you're running your own biodiesel, you're using a road without paying any of the maintenance fees on the road. So that's what's involved in that as well. And it's not cheap. It still sucks paying tax on your own fuel. But with fuel going back up again, we're going full-time YouTube. We hope to fire this thing up yet. We got to go over it. Some wasps made a nest there. We're gonna try and see if there's any wasps in there, because we're also gonna start growing some plants and stuff in here as well. That was my little story on emissions and my temporary sticker on my truck and the biodiesel processor. Hopefully we can get this going, and because I've got my lawnmowers diesel, my trucks are diesel, the Power Stroke is going to be diesel. Now there's some precautions to use while making your own fuel. We'll get all into that later. This is future up, but I wanted to explain about the emissions. And if you haven't watched the Volkswagen scandal video, there's a lot of things I say in there, and I still hold those true. I've gone overseas to third world countries, and until they get their stuff in order, the amount that we're doing is very insignificant to a place where I've been, like Burkina Faso, where garbage day is just when the wind is right, they light it on fire, and as long as it's blowing away from them, it's okay. There is a giant complexity into how we're taking care of our earth, and whether it's just a way for the government to make money, carbon tax, whole other thing. We're not going to get it political, we're not going to get into that, but hopefully we do get to make some biodiesel. So I gotta get rid of that wasp nest, and I don't know if there's even wasps in there, but we'll find out. So here we go. Honey, you got honey. That's that's what I thought. I wonder how far up that hose it goes. Not a single wasp yet. Oh, and it didn't even go in the hose. The nice thing about Canada is that our nice cold winters kill everything. So the wrong time of year in there would have been pretty bad. But we're good to go. So clean that up. And my dad, who's extremely allergic to wasps, can continue working on the greenhouse. Here we go.